Okay, it is deadline day for many of President Trump's new tariffs, which went into effect at midnight. 90 countries with rates ranging from 10 all the way up to 50%.
Yeah, it's likely to raise prices on everything that we buy, from groceries to computer chips. Let's bring in our business and tech reporter, Scott Budman, for an update here. We've been talking about this for weeks. It's finally happening now.
Yeah, and we know a little bit more, Raj, about what's going to cost us more. That list is long and it's complicated, but begin to answer. We've got cars from Japan, appliances made in Europe, some food at the grocery store, but there's also a lot that still has to settle before we can say just how much prices are about to rise. Now, as of midnight, a flurry of President Trump's tariffs kicked in, starting with a baseline of 10% for nearly all countries we trade with, meaning ultimately we, the consumers, are likely to pay at least 10% more on many imported goods. The overall average tariff rate now stands at 17%. That's the highest average level in the U.S. since 1935. Why is that average so high? Because the president's tariffs on some countries are much higher. For example, goods from India and Brazil soon facing a proposed 50% tariff. Canadian goods, 35%. Mexico, 25%. China, 30%, meaning coffee, liquor, and Christmas toys are all likely getting price hikes. Economists say we're already changing our habits because of inflation.
Inflation is rising. Consumers are spending less. And that's the biggest part of the U.S. economy. This U.S. economy is dependent upon consumers to power about 70% of its activity.
Tariff announcements. President Trump just last night saying foreign-made semiconductors will be hit with a 100% tax. Those are chips in everything we use, from electronics to cars and household appliances. There is, however, a gigantic loophole here. The president says tariffs will not hit companies making things in America. Now, the White House has not really clarified whether they have to make the chips here or just make something here to get the exception. It is safe to say at this point, Raj and Jessica, super successful Silicon Valley companies like NVIDIA and AMD will not have to pay that semiconductor tariff. We'll keep you posted.
Okay, thank you, Scott.
No, I'm not concerned. We may have short-term some little pain, and people understand that. But long-term, the United States has been ripped off. No, I'm not concerned. We may have short-term some little pain, and people understand that. But long-term, the United States has been ripped off. No.
This is Isaiah 19:4. And the Egyptians will I give over into the hand of a cruel Lord, and a fierce king shall rule over them, saith the Lord of hosts. And we are indeed, under this cruel Lord, man, Trump. He sits there and says Americans will have a little pain while he sits as a billionaire or millionaire, however many dollars he has. He's not suffering anything, but he wants the average American citizen to continue to suffer. First and foremost, before I get started, I want to thank Bahasham, Yahawashi, for putting the spirit on me to do this lesson. I'm going to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, Makakadash. I want to give double honor to the apostles and the elders of GMS who teach and rule well, who taught me this truth. Salutation, you brothers and sisters that are out there listening and learning, fighting this good fight of faith. And salutation, my fellow brethren that are pushing this word in all truth and sincerity. To you all, I want to say shalom. And hope and pray that this lesson be edifying to the elect. Excuse me. So, as you seen in the opening clip, Trump, these tariffs just went into effect as of midnight, I believe yesterday, Thursday. Today's Friday. So they had just went into effect, and they, saying that all these, people are going to see these price hikes, for these different goods, food, clothes, electronics, toys, for, those jigs out there that still want to celebrate Christmas and all that bullshit. It's going to be it's not going to be a holly jolly time, as America continues to circle the drain. So this is from NPR I'll just read a little bit of it. It's kind of lengthy. It says, Trump's broad tariffs go into effect just as economic pain is surfacing. It was published August 7th, a couple days ago. I think today's the 9th, if I'm not mistaken, or the 8th, so yesterday. It says, President Donald Trump was set to officially begin levying higher import taxes on dozens of countries Thursday, just as the economic fallout of his months-long tariff threats has begun to create visible damage for the U.S. economy. The White House said that starting just after midnight, that goods from more than 60 countries and the European Union would face tariff rates of 10% or higher. Products from the European Union, Japan, and South Korea will be taxed at 15%, while imports from Taiwan, Vietnam, and Bangladesh will be taxed at 20%. For places such as the EU, Japan, and South Korea, Trump also expects them to invest hundreds of billions of dollars into the U.S. Quote, I think the growth is going to be unprecedented, Trump said Wednesday afternoon. He added that the U.S. was taking in hundreds of billions of dollars in tariffs, but he couldn't provide a specific figure for revenues because we don't even know what the final number is regarding tariff rates. Despite the uncertainty, the Trump White House is confident that the onset of his broad tariffs will provide clarity about the path of the world's largest economy. Now that companies understand the direction the U.S. is headed, the administration believes they can ramp up new investments and jumpstart hiring in ways that can rebalance the U.S. economy as a manufacturing power. So after they gave up, all the different manufacturing companies that were here, and like the early, I guess it would have to be the early 1900s, when there were more plants and everything that were here, more manufacturing companies, and they started, hiring other companies to build these things for cheaper labor. So America became a consuming nation more than a producing nation, as opposed to a place like China, for example, who produces everything, even Trump hats, MAGA hats. So let's see, it says, but so far, there are signs of self-inflicted wounds to America as companies and consumers alike brace for the impact of new taxes. What the data has shown in a U.S. economy that changed in April with Trump's initial rollout of tariffs, an event that led to market drama, a negotiating period, and Trump's ultimate decision to start his universal tariffs on Thursday. After April, economic reports show that hiring began to stall, inflationary pressures crept upward, and home values in key markets started to decline, said John Sylvia, CEO of Dynamic Economic Strategy. So jobs are going down, and people are suffering, man. Let's get a scripture before I keep reading on. This is let's get Ecclesiastes 12:3. In the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, right? So we go into this all the time. If you look up the word economy, it goes into house management. So the keepers of the house would be the economists, and they're trembling. They're seeing the numbers. They're seeing all these different figures of the decline of not only the American dollar, which they're purposely crashing so they can go digital. So the value of the dollar is going down, but at the same time, these tariffs and price hike are going to make the prices go up, and it's gonna ultimately hurt the consumer. As the saying goes, shit rolls downhill. So the bottom, the poor, are going to suffer the most, man. They're already suffering as it is now, and it's only going to get worse. It says, in the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease because they are few, going into the jobs. Less and less jobs, because AI is taking over all kinds of jobs, robots. So there's less and less need for people to be in the workforce. So you have people not making any money like they, should. They have to work 2 and 3 jobs, and then at the same, they can't, already having a hard time making ends meet. People are in extreme debt, behind on all their bills, and then on top of that, there's the food prices of everything is going up. So something's got to give. And it says, and those that look out the windows be darkened, right? Because they don't see no future, because there's no future here. Babylon is falling right before our very eyes, man. All praise to Yahawashi, Yahawashi for that. And it says, and the door shall be shut in the streets, right? All these different businesses closing because they, these different taxes are not making enough money because people aren't buying as much because they can't afford to buy anything. So it's going to ultimately hurt everybody, the whole economy as a whole. It says, when the sound of the grinding is low, and he shall rise up at the voice of the bird, wake up early to look for a job, still can't find no job, and the daughters of music shall be brought low, and the music is absolute trash. That's goes without saying. As Jeremiah 51:9, we would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her, and let us go everyone into his own country, for her judgment reaches onto heaven and is lifted up even to the skies, man. So Babylon is through. There's no healing this place, man. So let's continue on. Read a little bit more. Let's see. Here we go. It says how Trump's tariffs are affecting prices. The lead up to Thursday fit the slapdash nature of Trump's tariffs, which have been variously rolled out, walked back, delayed, increased, imposed by letter, and frantically renegotiated. Let's get to the point. Let me see. Slovakia. Here we go. Trump on Wednesday announced additional 25% tariffs to be imposed on India for its buying of Russian oil, bringing their total import taxes to 50%. He has said that import taxes are still coming on pharmaceutical drugs and announced 100% tariffs on computer chips, meaning the U.S. economy could remain in a place of suspended animation as it awaits the impact. So yeah, it kind of goes on. But yeah, this is going to affect the economy in a negative way, and it already is, and it's only going to get worse. And this, as the scripture says, let me grab that for real quick. Ecclesiastes 1:9. The thing that have been, it is that which shall be, it is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done, and there is no new thing under the sun. Right? So I bring that out because I asked Google, how did inflation cause Rome to fall? So it says, inflation caused, which proves that this is Rome, the revised Roman Empire, Rome 2.0, Rome with an iPhone, that little horn, that came out, that had the deadly wound was healed, This is that revised Roman Empire. It says inflation caused by debasement of the currency and overspending significantly contributed to the fall of the Roman Empire. This led to a breakdown in the economy, making it difficult to fund the military, pay for public services, and maintain social order. The resulting economic hardship and social unrest fueled politically, um, fueled political instability, making the empire more vulnerable to external threats and internal divisions. And this is the same thing that's happening as we speak, and as we get closer and closer to the end, all of this is going to ramp up and become more in everybody's faces, you know? It says, debasement of currency. Roman emperors facing financial strain started reducing the silver content in coins, right? So the devaluing of the money, just like the devaluing of the dollar. There's no new things under the sun. While increasing the amount of cheaper metals like copper. This debasement led to a loss of confidence in the currency and triggered inflation. Hyperinflation. As the currency became less valuable, prices for goods and services rose dramatically, leading to hyperinflation. This made it incredibly difficult for people to afford basic necessities, and that's the time that we're entering into, man. And people are feeling it, man. Isaiah 24:7. The new wine mourneth, the vine languisheth, all the merry-hearted do sigh. The mirth of tabrets ceaseth, the noise of them that rejoice ended. The joy of the harp ceaseth. They shall not drink wine with a song. Strong drink shall be bitter to them that drink it, man. You know, so this place is through, man. People aren't going out like they used to. People aren't, you know, clubbing like that. People aren't going to bars like that. People aren't eating out, aren't going to the movies, and people aren't doing a lot of things like they used to because you just can't afford it. Yeah, there's some people that can still buy things here and there, but you know, most people can't afford to do anything outside of the bare necessities that, you know, to keep them afloat. The regular bills, their car note, insurance, gas, food. People are going clothing shopping for their kids starting a new year. I mean, a new school year. So people don't have no money to throw away, man. That little nest egg that people had during the CV, you know, the lockdowns and everything, when people didn't have to physically leave the house, they could just eat the food at home, so they wasn't eating out anymore. Stimulus package and all that. So people were able to save, you know, some money, have a nice little nest egg, and that's just gone. That's just been gone, you know. People spent that and went, you know, into debt, and it's only getting worse and worse, man. Let's see. It says economic crisis. The inflation crippled the economy, disrupting trade and making it challenging for the government to collect taxes. The empire's financial resources dwindled, making it harder to maintain its military and public works. Yeah. Then you got social unrest, political instability, and external threats. So it says, in essence, inflation was a major factor that exacerbated other problems within the Roman Empire, ultimately contributing to its downfall. While not the sole cause, it played a significant role in the empire's economic, social, and political disintegration. So, hey, and it's no different in this new revised Roman Empire, man. Proverbs 29:2. When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice, but when the wicked bear rule, the people mourn, man. So this kingdom, this world is being ran by the wicked. And in particular, that cruel Lord, you know, here in Babylon, you know, is bringing this country down, man. Single-handedly with all these, you know, things. And he says that, you know, people got to just suffer a little bit. But these people are suffering a lot, man, you know. So it's only going to continue to get worse, you know, before it gets, you know, before the Lord, you know, Bahasham, Yahawashi comes and destroys this place, man. You know, we have to, you know, go through Jacob's trouble, you know, famines, you know, pestilences, earthquakes in diverse places. All these things must, you know, come, you know, but they have to come for prophecy's sake, man, before the Lord comes and destroy these devils, man. So, you know, that's pretty much it. I just wanted to report on this. You know, just stay prayed up, Akim. You know, keep asking the Lord, you know, to have mercy upon us and our families, man, and keep us in these troubling times that, you know, we're entering into. So I hope and pray this lesson was edifying to the elect. In closing, I want to thank Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi once again for putting the spirit on me to do this lesson. And I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, Rakakadash. I want to give double honor to the apostles and the elders of GMS who teach and rule well, who taught me this truth. Excuse me, that taught me this truth. Salutations, you brothers and sisters that are out there listening and learning, fighting this good fight of faith. Keep fighting, keep striving, keep pushing. We're almost out of here. And salutation, my fellow brethren that are pushing this word in all truth and sincerity to you all. I want to say shalom, a ball, and kwam yashavala. Hey, shalom. To the next one.